Hey beautiful! I'm super excited to bring this episode to you because I speak a lot on how learning to listen to your intuition, your inner guidance, and actually trust that inner voice is the fast track to your manifestations. That's the fastest way, that's the shortcut to getting anything you want. Your intuition is a big component in the manifestation process, and it is key when it comes to manifesting your desires fast. Because let's face it, who doesn't want to manifest their desires like yesterday? If you're new here, I'm your host Paulina, and I'm a manifestation coach bringing you the most powerful tools backed by science that help you manifest the love of your life, more money, and everything else you desire. This episode is all about how to use your intuition to manifest what it is that you want and how to follow your inner guidance system to bring your desires into your reality so much faster. When people ask how to manifest their desires, the how is really about learning to listen to your intuition and letting that inner voice guide you towards your manifestations. I want to start this by looking at the definition of intuition, just to make sure that we are on the same page here. So I googled what intuition is, and it says, the ability to understand something immediately, without the need for conscious reasoning. To me, intuition is this deep inner knowing, like I just know, without knowing how I know. It might not make sense to the mind because often it doesn't, because intuition doesn't come from the mind, it comes from the body, and that's why you can't really make logical sense of how you're feeling. Here's the thing with intuition. It often doesn't make sense because your conscious mind, which I call the ego mind, doesn't have access to intuition. But I just get these nudges or these pulls that tell me to go somewhere or do something, and I just know that that's what I'm supposed to do without knowing why I should do it, right? And I just feel like I'm being led in a certain direction. Sometimes they can be small things throughout the day. They don't have to always be something big. I believe that many of us are not tapped into our intuition, and we haven't learned to listen to our intuition and trust that voice, trust that guidance. Because there's this constant mind chatter going on. We haven't learned to quiet the ego mind and silence that constant mind chatter. How I see it is that there are two voices constantly trying to get our attention. There's the voice of the ego mind and there's the voice of the intuition. In another episode, we're gonna talk more in depth about how to distinguish between the two voices, between your ego mind and between your intuition, and how to tame your ego mind to actually hear your intuition, and how to develop your intuition and make it stronger so that you can actually tap into it on a daily basis. But in short, the ego mind is like this monkey mind that is often much more louder than the voice of your intuition. And the ego is often busy worrying, stressing, second-guessing, procrastinating, rationalizing, analyzing, planning, and figuring things out. Whereas your intuition is this subtle, gentle, soft voice, almost whispering inside of you. When looking back at my successful manifestations, the ones where I managed to manifest something within a short period of time when it didn't make any logical sense and I didn't understand why I was called to go somewhere or called to do something at that time, because I just couldn't make sense out of it, right? But I trusted that voice. I trusted my internal guidance system, that intuition. That's when things happened really, really quickly, and that's when my big manifestations came into fruition. So I'm gonna talk more about them a little bit later in this episode. Let's talk a little bit about the manifestation process first, so that you understand why your intuition is so important when it comes to manifesting what you want. I'm often breaking down the manifestation process into 4 simple steps. Step 1 is you set the intention for what it is that you want. You decide what you want to manifest and get clear on what this desired end result looks like and feels like. And step 2 is you embody the version of yourself who already has what you want. This is where looking at your belief system and rewiring your subconscious mind comes into play. This is where you notice if any limiting beliefs or constricting ideas or sensations in the body pop up that tell you why you can't have what you want, and then you rewrite those beliefs. Because it's really important to make sure that your subconscious beliefs are in alignment with what it is that you're calling in. Step 3 of the manifestation process is that you take inspired action as it comes. This is where your intuition comes into play, because your job after setting the intention for what it is that you want is really to listen to your intuition and take that inspired action step by step. That's your path unfolding. The inspired action really doesn't come from you sitting down and trying to figure out the next logical step. No, the inspired action comes from your intuition, speaking to you through those nudges, through those pulls that you receive on a daily basis to do something or go somewhere. And step 4 of the manifestation process is you receiving what it is that you want. This was just a short breakdown of the manifestation process, and manifesting your desires sounds so easy when I break the manifestation process down like this, right? And that's the thing. Manifesting your desires is supposed to be easy. Manifestation is your birthright. I want you to imagine the manifestation process like you driving a car. Let's say that you're driving to a super exciting house party. You have the address, but you have never been there before. So you don't know exactly how to get there, right? You don't know exactly how to drive there. So you put the address into the GPS system of your car, and the navigator gives you the directions. So you first get clear on what it is that you want to manifest. That is your address that you put into the GPS system of your car. And then your subconscious mind is like the GPS system that receives the message that this is what you want. And your subconscious mind can see the big picture. It has the bird's eye view of everything going on. So it knows the fastest way to your manifestation. And it's giving you directions and guiding you every single day. Just like the car navigator is giving you directions for how to get to the house party in the fastest and easiest way. Because as you know, you're manifesting your reality through your subconscious mind, through your beliefs. And so once you have impressed your subconscious mind with what it is that you want, it will go to work behind the scenes on your behalf. It's like your faithful servant, your best friend, that will do anything for you, and it will bring in your manifestation in the fastest way possible. So it will work behind the scenes to set everything into motion and rearrange all of the puzzle pieces so that you can have exactly what it is that you want. Now, the difference between the GPS system of your car and your subconscious mind is that it's easy to follow the directions of the GPS system because it can show you the whole roadmap on the navigator screen. So it's easy for you to follow it, and it can even talk to you and tell you to turn left or right or make a U-turn when you miss the exit. Even if sometimes the car GPS system can be annoying because it lets you know way too late where to turn and you have already drove past it and then it's like, make a U-turn! It's still often easier to understand the directions of the GPS system of your car and to follow those directions than it is to understand the directions of your subconscious mind, because your subconscious mind communicates with you through your intuition. And just like that GPS system in your car knows many different ways to drive to get to your destination, which is the address that you put in there into the navigator, your intuition also knows infinite ways for how to get what you want. This is why learning to listen to your intuition is key, and have your intuition and your subconscious mind be in the driver's seat of your life and not your ego mind. So really asking yourself, who is driving my car? And it's okay if your ego mind has been driving your car up until now, but from now on you can decide and choose that you're gonna trust and follow that voice of your intuition more than the voice of your ego mind. Because your conscious mind may only know a handful of ways of how to get to where you want to go, whereas your subconscious mind knows infinite ways. This is why you cannot be the one giving the directions for where to go, where to drive, when you don't even know the road. And you surrender the road to the GPS system and follow it using your intuition. Your ego mind should never be in the driver's seat of your life, because when it is in the driver's seat and when it is in control of your life, it will always lead you down the wrong paths and make sure that you don't get to that house party on time and slow down the manifestation process. You might be wondering, okay, so how do I know that it's my intuition guiding me? So the guidance can come in many different forms, like in the form of these impulses in your body, like hunches or pulls. And when you feel pulled to go in a certain direction, even if you don't know why, you can trust that that's your intuition. It can also come in the form of inspiration, where you feel inspired to go somewhere or do something. Or it can show up as a feeling, like just this deep inner knowing. Or this instant clarity where something just feels right and you just know that this is your next step and that something will work out for you, even if it doesn't make any logical sense and you can't explain it. Your intuition is also speaking to you through bodily sensations like your gut feeling. So you get this yes or no sensation in the gut. Something just feels off or something just feels expansive to you. Like, have you ever had a gut feeling that turned out to be right? Maybe it was about a person where you were like, I don't know why, but something just feels off. Even if this person might have looked really good on paper. Or have you ever had that feeling when you go apartment hunting and an apartment looks so beautiful, but you can just sense, you can just feel it within yourself that this is not it. That is your intuition at work. Your intuition can definitely speak to you through other people or something in the external world as well. You might start seeing many synchronicities where you were thinking about making a move and now you receive a message in the form of seeing that exact thing somewhere, which can be a sign or someone you know suddenly bringing it up or asking you about it. Something important to understand is that your intuition is not something outside of you. You can say that it's a message from the universe if that makes you feel better, but it really is the exact same thing to me as saying that it's a message from your subconscious mind. It's okay if you miss some intuitive nudges or you just don't listen to the guidance of your intuition when it's nudging you to go in a certain direction because maybe it feels scary. Because your intuition is gonna nudge you over and over and over again. Just like when you're driving a car and you miss the right exit or you make the wrong turn, your GPS system is not gonna just turn off and stop giving you directions. No, what I have actually noticed is that it becomes even louder. And it's showing you another way to get to your end destination or to that house party on time. It's the same with your intuition. Your intuition is not just gonna give up on you if you don't listen to it. It will continue giving you directions until you listen. In my world, you cannot fuck up the manifestation process. You can only slow it down a little bit. But eventually you will always find your way to your manifestation and you will always get what you want and get to that final destination. I would say that I have always had a really strong intuition. I haven't just always been so good at listening to it or trusting that internal guidance system, trusting that voice and following it. But over these last years, I have been finding ways of deepening my relationship to my intuition, and it has been a result of different things, different practices that I'm gonna share with you in another episode. But today I wanna share with you how I listened to my intuition and how that actually led me to one of my biggest manifestations. I have so many stories where I listened to my intuition and it led me to the most beautiful unfoldment of what I wanted, and sometimes it looked even better than I even could have imagined and expected. The story that I want to share with you today is how I manifested my specific person or my ex back. And you might have heard a little bit about this story before if you follow me on, for example, TikTok. I have shared how I was able to manifest my ex back within 2 weeks after being in no contact for over 6 months. We had been together for several years, and at the end of the relationship there were a lot of fights and constant arguments, and the relationship actually ended with a big fight, so we broke up on really bad terms, and I was blocked on all social media platforms. At that time I was also so done, so fed up, and I wanted to just be by myself for a while. Of course I was really heartbroken, but at the same time I had school, I had work, I just had so much going on in my life. I just didn't have the time to deal with relationship issues at the same time, so I just didn't have so much time to even think about the breakup and think about all of the things that happened. But there was something after the breakup where I had this wake up moment and I realized that I was the problem, that the struggles in the relationship were mostly caused by me, and I was the one that was picking up the fights and the arguments in the first place because of my beliefs and insecurities, and I didn't have a good self-concept at that time. Even if I had escaped my childhood home at a really young age because of all of the physical and mental abuse going on a daily basis, and I wasn't physically or mentally harmed or abused anymore, I was still carrying this invisible backpack everywhere I went with all of my limiting beliefs and stories that were formed in my childhood home. So even if I wasn't there anymore, I still held on to the same beliefs and stories of not being chosen, not being worthy, not being good enough. And it was so painful that I decided that I never wanted to feel that way again. I never wanted to feel worthless again. I never wanted to feel like I wouldn't amount to anything or that I wouldn't be good enough for something. I also never wanted to lose myself in a relationship again and pretty much give up all of my life. I never again wanted to put pretty much everything else on hold for another person. So put my health, my career, my education, and even other friendships and relationships on hold. I never wanted to have the feeling again of feeling like giving up my life for another person and seeking that external validation and approval on a daily basis, because it was really, really exhausting. And then at the end of the relationship, be the one crying and begging the other person not to leave me. So long story short, I was working on my self-concept, I was looking at my beliefs and my insecurities, and I was healing those. And then several months later, we're talking pretty much like 6 months later after the breakup of the relationship, where I was still blocked and I hadn't heard anything from my specific person. And I was really just focusing on myself. I was really just focusing on building up my life again from scratch. I just had this feeling one day. I was like, you know what? I just feel like it's right for me. I just feel like I want to have my specific person back. I feel like right now I'm a different person, and so he's also gonna be a different person. And from that space, I set the intention to manifest him back. And I just remember that the intention was really lighthearted, if that's even a phrase. But what I'm trying to explain here is that I didn't think much about it afterwards. I didn't consider the possibility of it not working out or it not happening in my favor, so I didn't entertain that mind chatter. I didn't go into stories of why it wouldn't work out for me, why it wasn't possible. No, I just set the intention and then I moved on with my day. I also didn't go into logic, I didn't reason, and I didn't try to think of ways of how it could happen, and I didn't even focus on the fact that I was blocked everywhere. And then it took around 2 weeks and I actually bumped into him. And how this all unfolded was so magical. I just remember that I had a really chaotic and stressful day that day, like nothing worked out in the way that I wanted it to. And then in the afternoon or early evening, I wanted to go for pizza, but I had to postpone it, so I had to go later because I just didn't have the time. I cannot believe that I'm sharing this story here with you, like revealing my favorite food of all times. Just kidding. But yes, I love pizza so much. Pizza is my life. And that day when I felt like pizza, for some reason, my intuition was telling me not to go to my normal pizza place. But I was like, no, I'm gonna go to my normal pizza place. And that pizza place was closed. So I was like, okay, it's clearly not meant for me to go to this pizza place today. For some reason, my intuition is telling me to go to a pizza place that is much further away from home. And mind you, in the area where I lived at that time, there were like many different pizza places pretty much close to each other. So I would say there were like 15 to 20 pizza places to choose from. At that time I was just so fed up. I was so hungry and so tired from the day, and I just wanted to have food and then go home and sleep. And I kid you not, when I walked into that pizza place, there he fucking was. And then we started talking again. He was with a friend, so we just exchanged contacts again. And he was like, I'm so sorry about everything, but can we talk another time? So then we set a time to meet afterwards instead. And so this whole period of the manifestation process, I did not see any movement. I didn't see any movement at all until I bumped into him in that pizza place. This is how fast the manifestation can unfold for you when you learn to trust your intuition and you actually follow that voice, follow that guidance, even if it doesn't make any sense at all. Also trusting that you are on the right path to your manifestations, even if you might not be able to see any movement, because just like me, I did not see any movement until it happened. Not that I was looking for any signs or angel numbers or synchronicities either, but I did not see anything until the manifestation was right in front of my eyes. I hope that this episode was helpful to you and that you were a little bit inspired by my story. If you loved this episode, please help me spread the word. Help me spread the message that you are the creator of your reality and you can manifest exactly what it is that you want. Please share this episode on your socials, like on Instagram, and just make sure to tag me. I would love to hear about your experience. Also, if you take the time to leave a 5-star rating on this show on Spotify, or if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, just give it a 5-star rating and write a sweet short review. And take a screenshot and send it on Instagram or to my email, and then you're gonna receive a $150 credit towards any of my programs, courses, or even my one-on-one coaching.